Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video I want to talk about Trey Amos, a rookie who has been absolutely balling out for the Washington Commanders once again. He continues to turn heads. We're going to talk about him. Laramie Tunsil was there today for Media Day. We'll talk about that and much more. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well, so you never miss a video. Less than 40% of you guys should subscribe. We're like 15 away, 10 away, whatever it is, from 15,500. So I've talked about Trey Amos in the past, but he's been getting more and more buzz recently. Obviously, it's training camp. Got to take it with a grain of salt. You know, there's every offseason there's someone that people are hyping up, whether it was Cam Sims in the past, Troy Apke, rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins, Chase Young, Emmanuel Forbes even was getting some buzz during his training camp. Like, he had a decent offseason, but sometimes players, have good weeks and then they fall off, or what, it is a lot of the times is some guys are practice players and some guys are different once the pads come on, when they can be a little bit more aggressive in the games with pads on too. It makes a big difference. So, just got to take it with a grain of salt. But right now, Trey Amos is balling out. And, he's getting the first team reps. That's not surprising. Lattimore has been out for OTAs. It'll be interesting to see Lattimore back for, mini camp, which starts tomorrow, I guess. It'll be interesting to see, what they do there with, Lattimore, Trey Amos, Sanders Still, and Jonathan Jones. Do they, have the rookie as, the second unit, one of the, top guys in the second unit? Or do they, have him as one of the starters and then bench Jonathan Jones? I don't know. Maybe at first they'll have him on, as a second unit guy just because, he's not a vet and they have vets ahead of him. But I think by the start of the season, if he continues to do what he's doing right now, he will be a starter. And he's been doing well against, Deebo Samuel, and just, not even just Deebo, just everyone in general. He's been doing pretty well. I know he had an interception on the first day of OTAs, almost had another one that same day. So it's been good for Trey Amos. Mike Sandersfield said they ain't ready for the Fro times Chill duo. So, we'll see if the league's ready or not. But I'm excited about Mike Sandersfield, this year too. Year two, he had a great year last year, and, this year is the second year. We'll see how he progresses. Is he going to take that second step? He had a really good first year for a rookie, and just in general, had a good year. But in his second year, how is that going to go? Is he going to make, is he going to take that next step? Is he, potentially going to be a Pro Bowler and All-Pro? That's something we're going to have to watch, wait and see for sure. And, so let's get into some other stuff. So just, Trey Amos has been a guy that's been pretty popular around NFL circles. A lot of media have been, mentioning his name a lot, saying he should have gotten drafted earlier. So that's really good to see. And I guess I'll talk about the ideal lineup for the Commanders would be Trey Amos and Marshawn Lattimore on the outside. And then you got Mike Sandersfield in his more natural spot in the slot. But I don't think Mike Sandersfield is bad on the outside. His best football last year was on the outside. He played in the inside or on the inside early on in the season, and he struggled there. Does that mean he's going to struggle there this year? No. A lot of players struggle earlier on, once the season starts, especially not even when the season starts, but when their rookie season starts, they struggle a little bit more than other people because it's their first time playing in the NFL. So that's why, I believe Mike Sandersfield will struggle, but I don't think he's bad on the outside. I really don't. I wouldn't mind keeping him there. But you have not Jonathan Jones. I mean, you do have him, but you have Trey Amos and Marshawn Lattimore. Those guys are primarily outside corners. There's no other, Lattimore's not playing the slot. So you have to kind of mold the cornerback room into, based off the personnel, obviously. And right now it's looking like, Lattimore and Amos on the outside, and then Sandersfield in the slot. And you got Jonathan Jones, who can come in there as well if, there's anyone injured. Knock on wood, hopefully that doesn't happen. but you got Jonathan Jones who can come in there, play in the slot, can play on the outside. If, let's say, Lattimore gets hurt, you can put Sainristil back outside and then move Jonathan Jones into the slot, or you can keep Jonathan Jones, or sorry, keep Mike Sainristil on the in the slot and move Jonathan Jones outside. I don't know if I just said that, but you know what I'm saying. You can switch the two, what they're playing, because they both can play both positions. So Jonathan Jones can come in and play the slot or the outside, and vice versa with Mike Sainristil. And I'm gonna try. I keep saying someone mentioned it in the comments, and now I'm realizing it. So I'm gonna try to keep that out. I just said it, out of the vocabulary as much as possible. But Trey Amos looking really good, and let's see what he does during the minicamp over the next few days. There were a couple other things I want to talk about, just the Laremy Tunsil stuff. So he was there, there's Deebo Samuel in the burgundy and gold, #1, and it's media day, so you get to see all these guys in the uniform for the first time, so that's always cool. You got Laremy Tunsil there in the building, so there were some people that were maybe concerned, all right, is he gonna come into the building? Is he not? Because he didn't come for OTAs. Well, he's there, so I'm assuming he will be there for minicamp tomorrow. So that's good. That's good. You don't have to worry about that. I'm assuming Marshon Lattimore will be back for the Commanders tomorrow. And Terry, that's the one that's in question. Likely not going to be there, and that's not a surprise. He is holding out right now, wants a new contract. There was reports about the frustration. It is what it is. We'll see what happens with that whole saga. I don't even want to call it a saga, but I know people are upset about it and are concerned about it. I don't think you should get concerned until later on in the process. If this is still an issue, let's say 2 months from now, 2 months from June 9th, if it's still an issue, then we can talk about, all right, this is a bad spot to be in for the Commanders and Terry McLaurin. But at this point, June 9th, it's not a huge issue. It's not a huge issue, but it's something to watch. We're getting to that point where it's like, all right, maybe it could, be a little bit something, but we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. But he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid. I know there's people who are wanting Jaire Alexander. They already got Marshon Lattimore. It's just, they're different players, obviously, but, similar in terms of age and injury issues, personal foul stuff. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for me for the Commanders to get Jaire. Jaire's good, but injury issues and gonna have to pay him some money, and just to fit with the Commanders, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me. I'd much rather spend that money on an edge rusher like Zadarius Smith. So Jaire Alexander for me is a no. I don't think it makes sense. But he did get released. Hopefully he stays out of the NFC East. He's a good player. But, if the Commanders didn't have Marshon Lattimore, then all right, maybe that makes sense. Or maybe they don't feel good about Lattimore. He doesn't have a lot of guaranteed money. They could release him and get Jaire Alexander in the building. But they gave up draft capital for... All right, and for some reason, my audio cut out right at this point. But I was just basically saying we gave up a lot for Jaire Alexander. It just doesn't... Or for Marshon Lattimore. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to move on from him and just get a player that's similar to him that honestly has been just as injury prone as Marshon Lattimore. So for me, I'm kind of out on Jaire unless something crazy happens where they can somehow trade Lattimore for some draft capital, get Jaire for cheap, and I don't know. It would be a lot of moving parts, and at this point, I think they're fine with Lattimore. Maybe in a year from now they can make a different decision on the whole situation. But that's basically it for today's video. Just wanted to talk about Jaire, mostly Trey Amos, Laremy Tunsil, some of the other stuff as well, and then Jaire. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoy it, and peace.